Tim Walz is in Iowa. He's holding a series of town hall tours in Republican congressional districts where representatives won't hold them. KTIV Iowa State Capitol reporter Connor Hendricks looks at his first stop on this nationwide tour.
Hello, neighbors. So good to see you. Have a seat.
In a packed auditorium at Roosevelt High School in Des Moines, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz came to take questions from voters. Those chosen were picked by the Iowa Democratic Party.
So my question to you is, what will happen to all these kids and people if Medicaid gets cut?
They're not telling us what the implications are of what they're doing. They're just bragging that they're saving money, which, by the way, they're pulling straight out of their butt because it's not true.
Walz is on a nationwide tour of Republican congressional districts where representatives won't host town halls.
It's very hard to find an elected official who doesn't want to be in front of a crowd or a camera. When they don't want to be, you know something's up. And the something that up is, even people who voted for this didn't vote for what they're getting. They didn't vote for the crap.
Nancy Bobo of Des Moines says she came to see Walz Friday because
it's been a long 53 days since Trump took office, and I think we all need to be energized that there's some hope out there to move forward.
Marty Anderson, a retired legislator from Beaverdale, says more people are getting involved and coming to events like this since Trump's inauguration. She hopes that's a good sign for Iowa Democrats in elections to come.
We see people getting activated everywhere. So yeah, I mean it's not a good time for us, but the good times will come if we keep working at it.
I asked Congressman Nunn's office why he hasn't held any town hall meetings that are open to the public yet this year, and if he was planning to hold any in the future. Congressman Nunn tells me in a statement that he's held hundreds of listening sessions throughout the 21 counties in the district. He also tells me, quote, while out-of-state Democrats hold fundraisers disguised as forums, we're focused on real results. In Des Moines, I'm Connor Hendricks reporting.
Chair of the Republican Party of Iowa, Jeff Kaufman, reacted to the event tonight, telling KTIV in a statement, quote, I've never been a big fan of the circus, and Iowans know that when Rob Sand, Rita Hart, and Tim Walz all tumble out of the clown car. It's not entertainment, it's a warning. Iowans believe in common sense, not big government sideshows. If Walz thinks he can peddle his extreme agenda here, he's in for a rude awakening. And